Coming up tonight on Game All Nite, Bruce Voge talks with a funny accent, Gary dresses like Thor, and I lose it.
Welcome to Game All Nite.
Now we're coming at you from in front of the Bermuda Games shelfie here. This looks pretty nice tonight. I want to see yours up here, so use the hashtag GANShelfie so we can see yours up here. We also have a little game in store of Fun Employed coming up towards the end of the show. Be sure to stay tuned for that. And of course, the Top 5 Countdown. This week I asked, what are the best new Olympic sports coming out? Now, if you haven't noticed, we also launched our podcast, which is basically the same thing, but ripped down to an audio form. So be sure to check that out on our all-new website, which is, big surprise, GameAllNightShow.com. So we'll see you there. Well, enough of me yammering on. Let's start the show. So tonight I'm joined by Bruce Voge, formerly of the Party Gamecast. That's all I'm saying.
Currently of the Party Gamecast. Always of the Party Gamecast. Yes, I mean, don't get me wrong. We don't make episodes frequently, but gosh darn it, I am still on them.
Has it really become the What the Food podcast? Or is it still the Party Gamecast?
I think in the new episodes, when we start getting back to making them again, you're going to find out that we have just accepted the fact that we are by and large a food podcast. I think we're going to go down to like one game an episode so that technically we have a reason to be in the Dice Tower Network. And then we're just going to accept the fact that people want a show about Oreos and Lay's chips and just accept it and stop fighting.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. But I love... It's one of the first shows I found, actually, when I started looking for board game media to consume, because, frankly, that's my entry was, like, you know, coming in through playing party games like Taboo and stuff like that and Say Anything, which, you know, you guys covered ad nauseum. So you played a lot of party games. Did you guys have a lot of parties?
You know, so, like... One of the things about the Gamecast that I've always thought was really amusing because of where we've sort of ended up over the years is the reason I did a party game podcast was because no one else was doing it. And I was like, you know, there's all the land has been taken. And little did I know years later, there was so much more land available. But as near as I could see, that at least nobody had done party games. So I was like, I don't love party games, but I'll give it a try. And a lot of people on my show said the same thing. And then, like, my wife and a bunch of other friends like, no, we love party games. Let's do this. So that's how we ended up there. So it wasn't necessarily that we threw a lot of parties and played a lot of party games. It was a move. It was using the old noggin. And then over time, I really grew like a deep love of party games. There is an elegance to party games that a lot of people do not acknowledge. They are so busy playing games that are just spreadsheets, or I got to trade this to move this to get this to click this to do this to move these, get this to score 1 point in Germany. That they don't notice how hard it really is to make a party game. So yeah, we learned after a while like how really truly elegant the rules on a good party game are, and just really started getting into them at that point.
Now, that's funny you say that, because I think you can take a game that's like super structured and super like you have to play within these time frames, like say Dixit or something. Like it really kind of gives you the rule guidelines, or even Cards Against Humanity, right? But then you put up against something that's Say Anything that and the plugs come later, people. That's not what this is.
Oh, don't you worry. Don't you worry. I got things to plug. You just keep it. You want to know about how to buy my package? I will tell you, because I have packages here to sell you, folks. We're going to get to that later.
Absolutely, but it just boils down to the fact that it's an elegant design that kind of leaves the game space open like that, and like I would have to argue Telestrations kind of fits that bill too. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I think, first of all, I think Telestrations is one of the greatest party games ever made. Now, the argument that, hey, Bruce, it's not really a game, it's more an activity. Okay, you pedantic weirdo. I'll accept that. but it is a fantastic activity. And I think what makes it so fantastic is when you can give people a little bit of room to run and a couple of fences around them so it's not just complete nonsense, that's often where you find some of your best party games.
So walk me through. Bruce Voge is throwing a party, and you know, the party game cat's invited.
Of course.
How do you guys set the stage? What's it like at your house at Casa de Bruce when you throw a party?
So here's what's hilarious, because normally, unless it's a, hey guys, we have to play party games party, normally it's like a wrestling pay-per-view. So the main thing that's been set up is a potluck requirement where, for instance, one Super Bowl year, we decided it was fancy dress Super Bowl where you could only make what we considered a haute cuisine, and we had a drink list of weird, obtuse 1950s and 60s cocktails that we made. For WrestleMania one year, everything you made, you somehow had to name after a wrestler. So it was like Roman Reigns' Superman Punch, Broccoli Lesnar, which I think was just broccoli dip. But that is often how we end up in parties. So usually, and I think it's why the show ran so much to food, normally it ends up running to food for us as far as setting the parties up, because we really, a lot of our entertainment is in trying to make weird foods. So it's a lot of like, hey, does anybody know how to make insert food? Like, does anybody know how to make macaroni and cheese? Well, not really. So then you get a cordon bleu school textbook and you learn how to make macaroni and cheese the way that a 3-star chef would. And that's kind of how we end up in a lot of our things. And that's the core center of a lot of parties at Casa de Bruce, and the games come later.
And we all know that you start with a good bechamel base and mix it with turn it into a sauce mornay with definitely a cheddar or a sharp cheese of another facet, correct?
You're goddamn right. This man knows. Don't talk to me about binding it with egg. Oh, you horrible human beings. No, that is exactly how you make it. And when you're making the bechamel, you make sure you have just a little bit of clove. Normally, you just take a bay leaf, you use a clove, you jam it into a shallot, and you just let that sit in the sauce for a couple of minutes to give it just that much sweetness. Not a bunch. You're not making a dessert, but just a little bit. People will not notice, but it'll work. And then you hit it with a little bit of hot sauce. A little bit of hot sauce when you're putting the sharp cheese in. Just a little bit, not a lot. A little bit of Tabasco. Just give it a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of spice. But yes, good work. Oh, it feels good.
I might know a thing or two about a kitchen, but you know,
clearly
that's neither here nor there. But I like I like that you went the road of Tabasco sauce, because you know everybody wants to use the black pepper, but Tabasco brings a little something fun to the party, and it's already melted. You don't have to worry about somebody getting like that peppercorn that they didn't expect. It's and it brings that little. You know where I use it, Bruce? I use it in my hollandaise. That's where I use it.
Really?
You
like are a madman.
Yes.
I don't think I can make a hollandaise that doesn't break like a popsicle bridge.
It's not easy, but you know, if you're dedicated to the Benedict, you got to do it right. You got to do it.
Nice. And you clearly, gosh darn it.
I may have gone to school for that. I will neither confirm nor deny that I did that for a few years of my life. But
wow.
So you definitely you love the food. You throw these parties.
Well, I mean, tell me the size of it.
You do a time trip back to the 50s. So let's back up. I once did the last dinner on the Titanic. I recreated that meal. So I understand exactly what you mean. Now, the period cocktails got me. So walk me through what some of these cocktails may have been, because vintage cocktails are kind of they're hot, and frankly they're awesome because they usually feature bourbon and some gins and some whiskeys. So
unless you're looking for really weird stuff, and then it doesn't. You end up at like grasshoppers and golden Cadillacs, and oh goodness. Yeah, because it uses what is the name of the liquor? It's in like a tall, thin container Galliano that no one has anymore. I had to go to 5 liquor stores to find a thing of Galliano so we can make a golden Cadillac.
Right, and then I have a feeling if we were to go into your liquor cabinet, we would still find it in there because you only use like probably this much of it, and it just sits there ever since.
Oh, absolutely. We made people drink as many things because there was something else the Galliano was in, but it's been enough years since that Super Bowl that I don't remember. And we worked hard to get rid of it, and we just could not manage it. Plus, as I've stayed on a lot of shows, I'm not really much of a drinker. So if something really interesting comes along, if you're like, hey, Bruce, we're going to a tiki bar where they make a goldfish bowl full of zombie, I'm in because of novelty, but then I learn it's a terrible idea.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Is there a reason for that? Is there the bad experience? You blacked out, you did crazy things, and you wound up on the White House lawn naked or something? Like what happened?
So I wish it was like that entertaining and that fun. We're gonna take a dark turn, kids. This is not good. We're gonna learn.
Dark turns.
We're gonna take a dark turn. I've learned now. I've never been drunk in my life. Just never got there. But a couple times. If you get fun Bruce, if you get tipsy fun Bruce, it's wonderful. But like a good 1 out of 4 times, a good 25%, you get angry tipsy Bruce, and he's just a jerk. He's just a jerk, and he's like threatening, and I don't like him. So I'll have a drink here and there, but if I kind of feel that it's it's going to get dark, I don't want to be a part of that. So I've decided it's not a thing I do very much. Because I don't need to do that. And most people need to drink because they're like, oh God, I got to drink so I can try to be social and yell at people. That's me sober. So I don't really I don't need that extra hit.
I don't know what you mean at all.
No.
It's not a crutch. It's not a crutch.
No, some people love the taste the same way. Like I know some people that just love the taste of marijuana. That's what they do. That's who they are. Not my scene, but if you need someone to talk to the police, I'm your guy.
Fair enough. So just brings me back. Is it I know what my goal is next PAX U. We're definitely gonna, I'm local, so we're gonna have to explore that next year. But the fun thing is that you know that you have a limit and you're willing to stop before it. I mean, how many people don't? And that's kind of a sad thing. I think that's
and I mean,
that's important.
Like it can get a hold of anybody, and I totally understand. Often that's a there but for the grace of God go I kind of situation for me. So I've learned it, I've accepted it, and I'm okay with it. But like in a case, if we're going out to get a drink, we're going out to get a drink. That is perfectly fine. We, though, are not going out to get 6 drinks.
Fair enough. And you know what? It's expensive. Let's face it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a little crazy these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't, $15 a drink, not really my scene. So, all right, so let's circle back. And a sport, I think, that involves a lot of drinking, or should, is bowling, because I think that
certainly is.
I think I literally heard that's why people go do it. So do you like to bowl? I hear that might be a thing for you.
As a matter of fact, I have no idea what picture you randomly found on Facebook to get that fact. Well researched, sir.
Maybe.
Yeah. I actually am a big fan of bowling. I have been at different times in my life. When I was a little kid, I bowled duck pins because I'm in Maryland, and that's what you do. Did that for a little while, gave it up in high school, picked it up again. A couple of young ladies I was interested in were like, why don't you bowl? And I was like, sounds like a stupid hobby, but sure, ladies. So I got into bowling then, and then left it for a few years because I injured myself. I injured my back. And then I've been a trivia host. I was a trivia host for like 9 years, still do it one day a week, hosting pub trivia in bars. And I ended up with a game in a bowling alley. So I was like, well, then let me start a league of these trivia nerds and go to bowling, and spent a couple more years bowling with the trivia nerds, which was fun. And we did a thing. I don't know how much you bowl. I'm going to assume not at all. So there's a thing called no tap, which is bowling, but if you knock 9 pins down on the first ball, they just give you a strike. And we decided we would do that so everyone would feel better. And in no tap, I'm good for a 300. You put me in regular bowling, 182. Okay. Put me in no tap, 3 bills.
So you're a 90% kind of guy, is what I'm hearing.
A solid 90% kind of guy.
Wow, that definitely sounds very millennial that you would automatically count it every single time.
Hey,
so
I heard that.
Is it still a turkey when you do it 3 times though, or is it more of a duck? I mean, what is it then?
No, it's shockingly enough, it is still a turkey. But when you get 300 that way, you don't get the cool ring for it. And if you even ask for one, people laugh at you. Because I tried. I was like, do I get my 300 ring? And they were like, for a game where you only had to bowl 9 pins, shut your face. They didn't even really want to give me a printout. They're like, you don't deserve a printout on a piece of paper that says you were near that score, sir.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I guess I learned something about the bowling hobby today. That's definitely not something I would have expected. Introducing the Climbers, a stacking and pathfinding game with a race to the top for 2 to 5 players to see who can be the last one standing. Using solid wooden components, gorgeous paint, this game certainly stands out on any table. Can you place, climb, and use special powers to be the first and only person to reach the top? Let's find out when you order your copy from Simply Complex Games, a division of Capstone Games. So we go from bowling, and you say you do pub trivia. So I mean, obviously that's kind of that works really well with the party games, because that's definitely kind of a thing. So you've done some pub quiz, I'm sure. Yeah. So what are some of the crazier things you've seen happen? Because come on, there's got to be like, these people definitely you have one extreme or the other, right? You have the super serious, our team wins every single time. And then you have the drunk guys in the background who you have to keep asking, turn off your phones, quit using them, those guys. So there's got to be some stories here.
Oh, I got a couple. So let me start with this. Exactly how bad a language am I allowed to use here? What is allowable here on Game All Nite? Okay.
You're allowed to do it all.
Then Uncle Bruce is about to tell some stories, kids.
For the sake of me, my rule is you can say whatever you want. You can even say F-bombs. I'll be editing in post, but please take me in consideration when it comes to F-bombs. Everything else is golden. Everything else is golden.
Oh no. We're starting a thing, Gary. You may use the word Gary like you would use the word Smurf. So feel free to Gary it all up.
Okay.
And
this is about
and you can totally get Gary'd up if you want. I think that's a thing.
Oh, this is going to get real Gary'd up real fast.
It already is.
So I have 2 great stories. So one is your intense trivia player. Because one thing I learned while running trivia is trying to figure out the difference between a person that's on the spectrum, which a lot of them just seem to come to trivia. Like, I would say a higher percentage of people that play trivia are somewhere on the spectrum than in a lot of places I've been. I don't know if trivia draws that crowd or what it is, but you learn the difference between a Gary hole and a person on the spectrum very quickly by how they treat you. So you're like, okay, there's certain things I have to deal with, and certain times when people are going to be more intense than they need to be, or certain times when there's some fact they know that I don't that's going to trigger something, and you get used to a lot of that. But I did one game, this was long enough ago, where people still had cell phones, but that a cell phone wasn't a walking computer. So you couldn't just get any information you needed at any time. So trivia was very much still trivia. And I did a game, and this guy, it was some question where the main thing we were testing was, had you paid attention to the sports news that week? That somebody had just broken a record of a certain number of hits or something. I don't remember because sports ball. Yes, I know I have a whole bunch of minor league baseball hats. Different
Go
thing.
Sports.
So sports ball. Exactly. Go Sports. So I asked the question. Half the room gets it right, mostly the drinkers. This guy goes, you don't understand. And I'm like, I completely understand, you're wrong. He's like, no, I'm telling you, it's in whatever, we'll say Derek Jeter for the example. It's Derek Jeter. And he's, like yelling. And that's not a thing that he's yelling at me. And I'm like, I'll just get through the game. I'll be all right. He loses the game. I go out to the car. He is followed me, parked his car behind my car, and gets out. And I'm like, all right, this is about to happen. I'm going to break my fist. And he opens the trunk of his car, and I go, uh-oh, I fear that I brought a fist to a gunfight. And he pulls out the baseball encyclopedia, which, if any of you have ever seen this tome, it's gotta be like, it's much bigger than the Bible. It's gotta be like 6 or 8 Bibles thick. And then
so you might fear that more than a baseball bat.
Oh, definitely. He pulled this thing out, and then at this point, I sort of stopped my fight or flight thing because I was like, "That's a book. I think if he hits me with a book, it's an all-right story." And I just let that happen because I don't think he can kill me with a book. So let's see what happens. And he comes over to my car and he slams the book on the trunk of my car, and he flips through the book and he goes, "Do you see this? Do you see this, Derek Jeter?" And I go, yeah. The record was broken 4 days ago. And he goes, and other people are now starting to watch that we're playing the trivia game. And they're yelling to him like, hey, Tom, he's right, though. He's right, though. I don't know why you do. He's like, and he grabs the book, throws it in his car, and just takes off. And I'm like, that's a real weird experience.
Wow.
That's a real strange thing.
Should he have been driving that garried up? I mean, was he a little...
I'm not sure that he should have driven that garried up. And I was shocked because he was about to get garried up.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. He was going to Gary that Gary. I mean, I'm sure.
Oh, no doubt. And then my favorite other story is I had a game with a heckler. And I just, I can't believe I've done trivia for, at this point, I think 9 years. Not in the story, but where we sit right now. At this point, I've been doing trivia maybe for 4.5, 5 years. And there's someone that's just heckling me through the game. And I mean, I'm drawing at the particular place. I'm drawing 125 people a week to my little trivia game. So I think I'm Big Gary at that point. So this guy just keeps yelling stuff at me, and we're through maybe the hour and a half mark, and he's just unrelenting. Every question, he's either yelling at an answer, or your mother's a Gary Trebek, or he's done everything. And I finally get to use, if you've ever been an entertainer, you're going to know what I'm talking about. There's one line that I have always wanted to use my whole life, and I finally got to use it to this guy on a microphone. I said, okay, if you have any children out there, at this point I would say cover their ears because Bruce needs to have a moment. And the guy says something like, something, are you going to go Gary your Gary in the bathroom? And I go, no, look, I don't come to your job and slap the Garys out of your mouth, do I? Why don't you leave me alone? And the place erupts, and I'm like, I'm living one of my dreams now at bar trivia.
Nice.
Happy. Made me happy.
Well, those are my two ends of the spectrum. It's the little things. When you're playing for gift cards to the restaurant, it's all on the line. It really is.
I know, right? I've been shocked by that over the years. And I've had chances to run games for better prizes, and I'm like, please don't. Because people get so upset over $30 worth of appetizers that I hardly know what to do if we're playing for real money.
Nice.
Yep.
Wow. Yep. I can't believe it. So we've definitely covered the trivia nightmare. I've seen definitely plenty of guys who've had to do that in my time. But you also mentioned the pro wrestling. So
yes.
So I'm assuming it's not real. I'm not breaking any fourth walls here, right?
No. I think then I'll defend pro wrestling for you.
Let's do that.
It is theater. It is pageantry. It is soap opera. It is comic book style storytelling. That's what I'm in for. I'm in for pyro. I'm in for a grown man in a sequined robe. I like wrestling for very much the same reason I like drag. It's dudes in crazy robes. It's spangles. It's sparkles. It's I love all of that about it. That is where I am. I understand it's predetermined. I'm not even the kind of guy that likes the violence in it. Most of the characters that are violent, I like their goofier sides better. But for me, I've always been a fan of just like the sheer pageantry and absurdity of professional wrestling.
So, okay, so it's all the fake drama, the soap opera that goes into it and everything else. That's what kind of really draws you to it then.
Yeah, I'm there for the spectacle. I like a good spectacle. Give me a good fight night feel. I don't need that to be based on anything. You can base that on a story. Blah, blah, blah's wife may have potentially been involved with something with blah, blah. I'm willing to accept just a thin veneer of the Housewives of Orange County that ends up leading into a cage match in Topeka, Kansas. That's fine by me.
Now, do you think that like sports like that are going to actually kind of spill over and maybe people think that, oh, well, if they fix that, then they're going to fix other things? Do you think that that's like a legit concern, or do you think that we're all naive little Garys about it?
No, here's the thing. I think at any point, especially with real sports, because money changes hands, I think you're going to find things like NBA referees that are willing to miss calls. You're going to find predetermined endings. I mean, look at the 1919 Black Sox scandal where they threw the World Series. I think it's always possible. And people have said for years that there's been fixes in boxing. I think the reason that like it can work in boxing or it can work in MMA to fix a fight is because it's just one person you have to pay off. When you have to pay off an entire team, then it becomes a bit tougher because there's going to be one dude that's like, I'm not throwing this game. I've always wanted an NBA championship ring. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if there were fixes in other sports. I don't necessarily go looking for them, but it wouldn't shock me. And I think if you take a look at a lot of the production that like ESPN has now and that Showtime Boxing and places like that have, it's very like WWE. We have to create a story. We have to try and put some drama in this. Look at the Olympics. I would say the Olympics uses a lot of the same sort of storytelling cues that you get from a week of Monday Night Raw or Tuesday Night SmackDown.
I think that's fair. And I think that your love of the wrestling kind of filtered into had to have spilled over into, I know you've been on the Flip the Table guys a few times, right? Yes. You've been in that show, yep. And I think when they redo a game and they try to retheme it, I think wrestlers has to crop up. I think they're contractually obligated at least 50% of the time. Is that not true?
Oh, well, things are just better if you add wrestlers. If you take a bad game and you just add some wrestler stand-ups, it's already a better game than it was before.
Yeah, and you do like the cheesy, weird, and obscure things as much as they do, but you're not willing to subject yourself to 115 episodes of crud games to get there, though, right?
No, we proudly did one episode of Flip the Table. One of the things that we'd love to do on the Party Gamecast, featuring the Party Gamecast, a podcast about party games and games you take to parties, is to do an April 1st episode every year. And at one point we were talking to people. I was actually talking to most of the Dice Tower Network. And I was like, why don't we all switch shows for one episode? Like all 14 of us take a different show.
Nice.
And a lot of people had like integrity. And they were like, oh, we're so worried about what might happen. And yeah, blah, 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 blah. And I talked to Chris, and Chris was like, let's do this. So we were a fan enough of each other's shows that we could do, I think, pretty decent episodes. They did an episode where they covered, I can't even remember the party games because I remember the same thing everyone else remembers about it, which is that they ate a bag of cereal marshmallows. And then we took over their show and we played the home version of the 1980s MTV game show Remote Control.
Okay. So you switch seats, which if you did not catch the crossover episode, it was outstanding. And I remember that popping up in the feed. It was very confusing to hear the different voices on the different podcasts. But it was, I think it would definitely go down as a classic. And to this day, I think there was just a post the other day of somebody who bought a box of marshmallows on Twitter off Amazon. So it's still out there, people. Still out there.
We are seriously happy about that. Plus, for me, one of the reasons I got into board game podcasting is Flip the Table. Because that many years ago when they were running their show, they were, in my opinion, like the only fun board game podcast. I didn't know you could have like a non-informative, fun board game podcast, and they completely broke paradigms for me and made me want to get into it. So, I mean, I was just as much a fan being allowed to take the reins of the show for an episode as anybody else. It was really exciting for us to be able to do it. But yeah, no, they were incredibly influential on what we did.
That's awesome, because I think it's really important to kind of call out the people who are, you know, not just opening boxes and reviewing them or running them through. I mean, it's so awesome to have other people doing different things. And I think that that's what's important. I think, you know, the people opening the boxes and playing the games, more power to them. We need that. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you know, we want our entertainment to be, you know, a little different. And we want something else out of this hobby. We want to see our hobby do different things. You know, I think that that's, you know, and that's where this brainchild came from, because no one else is doing this. So I thought this would be cool, right? So
and you're doing a really awesome thing here, and you're doing a thing that no one could have. I mean, the years ago when I started, you know, like 6 years ago doing board game media, the thought that this thing you've made could exist. One, the technology I don't think was quite here for it, and two, just nobody had thought of it. You know, when you look at at some of the things that are out there now, at some of the just entertainment pieces people are doing, that so many games are coming out and the space is getting so filled. That one, I think that does allow sort of lower quality stuff to get in because there's so much of it, but it also makes the higher quality stuff so good and so inventive and so fun that it's just becoming really cool now to see what people are making to do exactly what you're saying. You're like, well, no one's ever done this. Let me see if board games can sustain this kind of thing. And you get something as cool as Game All Nite.
Well, thank you. I think that's a great note to kind of go to the next part, which is, you are one of the few people, you know, we've had a couple people on the show already. I mean, we're up to a few filmings at this point, but you're one of the few people who's actually like made the jump into, you know, turning your hobby. I mean, for lack of a better term, I mean, that's what these podcasts are and everything. Yeah, and you actually were able to parlay that into a full-time job, to the point where the first time I met you was at Gen Con, and, you know, that was just awesome because you're out there playing Wits and Wagers, and you're just like, you referenced my show. It was great.
It's something, man. This right here, where I am now, is largely like blind luck. And I think for a lot of people that have managed to make the jump, if you look at Alex from Dukes of Dice, if you take a look at Chaz Marler, who's managed to do a lot of it, for any of us, the media we made, we just didn't realize was like a 7-year-long application and interview process that we did not know we were a part of. For me, it was Northstar Games is not far from my house, about a 45-minute drive. They're in close to D.C. I live in Baltimore. And they put the thing out there that said, hey, you know, we need a social media content marketing kind of guy. And I remember I met Dominic Krapichetz, who made like almost every game we've made except Happy Salmon, at a convention. And he said, oh, yeah, Bruce, yeah, I know. And he had done an interview with the Party Gamecast a couple years earlier, and he remembered me. And I was like, oh, cool. And he said, hey, did you see that we put the job posting up? And I said, yeah, I saw. He said, so have you put an application in? And I said, well, you know, Dom, I kind of feel like I like the relationship we have now, where you made thing I like, I gush at you, and then I leave. And I don't know that we need to change that relationship to guy who crushed my dreams. And he said, well, I can't tell you what to do, but if I were you, I'd try putting an application in. And I said, okay, let's go for it. And I hadn't done an application for anything for years because I'd been a professional entertainer for like 14 years doing weddings and bar mitzvahs and bingo nights and pub trivia and all that kind of stuff. And actually Donald Bennis from On Board Games, another show that I host, helped me out a lot with it. And I put it in and I went through like 5 rounds of application and interview to get this job. Yeah, I couldn't believe it because every time they would say like, "Oh, we'll call you in a couple days," and I was like, "Oh, I guess this is the end of the road." And then they call me and go, "Okay, so there's only 11 of you left." I go, 11? What are we even doing? They say, "Okay, well, we'll talk to you in a couple days." Then I'd figure they weren't going to call. They'd call back, and I'm kind of waiting for we really appreciate your time. They go, "Okay, so there's 6 people left. Can you come in?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can come in." And from what I understand, a couple people flew in. And then they were like, "Okay, now we're down to 3." I was like, I just kept waiting for the other shoe to fall and it not to work out. And then in the end, they were like, "You know what, Bruce? We really think that sort of the love of party games and all the years of having made the party game cast, we make party games here. You have an understanding and a knowledge of strategy games, which at this point they were starting to get into. I really loved Happy Salmon. They knew that I liked that. They knew I had the entertainment background, which as much as people don't realize it, having sort of a knowledge of showmanship is incredibly helpful when you're kind of doing like that selling at Gen Con. When you're trying to kind of do big release events for things, having, like a really decent knowledge of how to entertain people is really helpful. And they said, "Hey, you have enough different skills and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and the board game people and you come on in." And that's what I do now is just a little bit of everything around here. And it's awesome.
If anybody has had the chance to kind of get to play the Wits and Wagers Vegas with Bruce at Gen Con or subsequently PAX U, you will totally understand exactly what he's talking about. The showmanship was fun. Like I got to do it twice. I kind of feel fortunate because we did it once at Gen Con, and then when he came up to PAX U, which is your local con too now.
Absolutely.
We got to do it again. Unfortunately, we didn't get the game afterwards. We'll have to rectify that because my God, you're 2 hours away. I have no excuse not to hook up with you guys.
Yeah, we need to make this happen. It's the same joke we have there's a whole bunch of podcasters that are out of Baltimore. And we're like, "Oh, really? Well, we're right there." And then we only see each other at Essen. And we're like, "Oh, we only had to go to Germany to see each other." Yeah, that's exactly what we need to do is something like that. And that would be fantastic. But yeah, no, there's a lot of people where they're like you, where you're a 45-minute to an hour and a half drive, and I'll see you at Gen Con or Origins or somewhere like that. I'm like, "Oh, we only had to go 5.5 hours away to make that 45-minute distance."
Exactly, and it's just crazy. So if you haven't figured it out, Bruce is actually broadcasting from the office.
Yes.
And behind you is some pretty awesome stuff. So these you were talking about this earlier. These are actually the watercolors that were used for Evolution. And if anybody knows anything about this game, I mean, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful stuff.
And this was a crazy thing because when I started, there was these were in a big giant art folder, and at one point I was just kind of looking through stuff, and I was like, "What are these?" And Dominic was like, "Oh, they're the watercolors," and I was like, "Wait a minute, there are actual watercolors to Evolution. This isn't just a digital watercolor." And he was like, "No. Catherine Hamilton is an actual watercolor artist and did real watercolors that we scanned in to make the cards." So behind me we have, I'm trying to remember what all of these are. I know in the middle, that is the board to Climate.
Right.
And I know so. The Meteor is back there, and I can't remember because the cards are in the stuff that this is from. This is all Climate. And if I normally play regular Evolution, so I get a little fuzzy about which these are, although they are incredibly attractive, but it's all of the Climate stuff that's in this room. And then the boxes are over in Dominic's office, the actual front boxes for Evolution and for Climate.
It's awesome. You kind of have a shelf of awesome behind you. I mean, it's almost like you plan this. There may be. I mean, you got those small plates on ribbons. You got these statues. So what's this all?
So this is the thing we talked about before the show began. Just so you know, we really are working here, folks. These here, I don't know how well you can hear me. These are actual Board Game Geek awards. If you're like me, I was in the Board Game Geek when I started with Northstar. I'd been in the Board Game Geek for 10 years, and I did not realize that the Board Game Geek Award was a physical talisman that you could own. And it is, because when I started, we were in much worse digs. We've since moved to this new beautiful office. but the old office was not so great. And they were like in a random file folder on Dominic's desk. It was like papers, 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 a ribbon hanging out, papers, 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 another ribbon hanging out. And I was like, what is the deal with the ribbons? And he was like, oh, they're Board Game Geek Awards. We got them for Say Anything and Wits and Wagers. And I was like, those are a thing? And he was like, oh, people don't know that? I was like, no, I thought it was just like, here's the picture file you can put on your board game box. I had no idea it was a physical award, which is why this is one of the big things that like I wanted when we moved to the new office, was that we have a lot of our international versions. Let me see if I can, like, that's a lot of our Say Anythings and Wits and Wagers from other countries.
Oh, cool.
And then we have the crazy awards. And then we have what I think are hilarious is those are some of the Origins awards we've won for things, which sometimes at the Origins awards, they present you an award with just no plate on it. They're just like, hey,
okay,
you want a thing? So we have one we literally don't remember. We think we won it for Say Anything, but we're not like 100% sure. I'm sure at the time they remembered and were running around the office and popping champagne like they had won the NBA championship. But
sure,
you know, as many years ago as I came past that, they were like, yeah, that was a thing, I guess. Yeah, it was probably Say Anything, right? Satish was like, I don't know, what's the other one saying? He was like, the other one's blank too. And they were like, well, I guess one of them's Wits and one of them's Say Anything. Because that's sometimes
maybe one of them's
Wits awards.
One of them's Wits and one of them's Wagers, and you're just going to have to use them both.
Yeah,
but you know,
exactly.
nothing a little P-Touch can't fix. I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. I really want to, because I don't think anybody will notice when I label them. But with my luck, someone will notice like as soon as I label them.
Oh, of course. But I think that's awesome. And if I ever won the Board Game Geek Award, I think I'd have to wear that around like a championship belt. Like I don't think
I know, right? I would mount it to other things. Yeah, right? Absolutely. Right, wear it over my shoulder and walk in places. I'd lay it on the ground and dare people to challenge me.
Right. It's like, yeah, I don't get that. So Northstar, so you've been there for a little while. So like
a little over a year.
So I hear that, like, you know, they started out with this Happy Salmon thing, right? Like the Happy Salmon that kind of, it's time to shill. So like Happy Salmon was kind of awesome. It came in the neoprene sack. It's got the plastic cards. You can play it literally anywhere. You released another one because, you know, 6 people's not enough, and you
wasn't.
No. Now we can go up to 12, which is awesome. Thank you very much. I can trip over my aunt and everything and no problem. But there's more. What's up with that?
There definitely is more. So now we have a new line of games, because that's the new fashionable thing to do when you're a board game company. We have a new line of games called Happy Planet. It started with Happy Salmon because we really did it. And this is the truth. We just noticed that when people played it, they were just happier. Everybody was happier. The people playing were happier. The people watching were happier. With very few exceptions, everyone like within the full area was just happier. And we thought, what a noble goal to try to design games towards. Not to make you happy, because we don't know how your day is. We can't guarantee you we're going to make you happy, because it's sometimes you're not going to be. But we can make you happier. And that is exactly what we want to do with these games. The first in the line is Happy Salmon. And then Happy Salmon Blue, because 12 people. And then the next one in the family is Funky Chicken. So Funky Chicken, we hate to say it this way. They tell me, Bruce, don't say it this way to people when you talk about Funky Chicken. I'm going to say it this way. It's Happy Salmon with dance moves. It is exactly Happy Salmon, except now you have spin, where you lock arms and kind of do like a do-si-do. You have... I'm sorry, spin is actually where you spin in place. Swing is where you lock arms and do a do-si-do. You have the bump where you hip bump with somebody around the table. And then the Funky Chicken, which you Funky Chicken. And to let somebody else know you did it with them, you say, so funky. And what's super cool about these is they're in the exact same colors as Happy Salmon. So if you want to mix a Funky Chicken actions and Happy Salmon actions, you can make the game you and your friends want to play.
So you can do Funky Salmon.
You can do Funky Salmon or Happy Chicken, depending on how I think it should be Happy Salmon. I wanted us to actually make a set of cards that just said Happy, or that just said Funky Salmon on them. And they were like, I don't know, Bruce.
Yeah, it might be like 4-day-old salmon.
Yeah, I think they feared that would be the thing somebody would say. And I was like, no, I think we can deal with that. And I said, No, we can't, Bruce. You're wrong. So we just never did that. But whenever I get a chance, I call it funky salmon.
I like it. So when can we expect that in stores?
That is going to be in stores mid-April. Mid-April, you should see that. I believe it hits our warehouses on the 1st, which means you should see it at your local store somewhere around the 15th, along with one other game in the series. Monster Match. So Monster Match is, and let me just show you the thing I really like about these, is so you lay these cards out on the table of these little monsters. And if you take a look, the background story is that they've robbed the town of Sprinkleton of all of its donuts, which is why if you look, you can see they actually look like little mugshots.
All right. I'm buying it so far. Cool.
And then, so every monsters are similar. No two monsters are the same. So what I like to do is, one of my favorite things to do with these is to create headcanon. So like this little guy, the artist on it had the fantastic backstory of that this guy is angry that his family is going to the state fair, but he has definitely asked them to bring him back something.
Okay, I mean, that's reasonable.
Which I like. And then there's one other one here that, let me pull him out. Dad Monster that is clearly mad his kid is at the skating rink.
Sure. Like he has to buy that third shoe.
Exactly. And he's upset about it. And now, with your noticing the need for a third shoe, that leads directly into gameplay. You put 10 of these cards out on the table. You have 2 dice. One of them has eyes, arms, and legs. The other one has a number. Let me turn that up so that looks reasonable. There we go. You roll them. Once you get your number and your attribute, you look for a card on the table that has that. You point to it. If there are multiple, each player at the table that can find one gets one. You collect it. If ever you roll and there are none of those particular attributed monsters on the table, you point at the zilch token. You get a 1-card bonus. Put 10 more cards out on the table. Once you run out of the deck, the game's over. Whole game lasts, maybe 5 to 7 minutes. What I like about it is for like all of these, like these particular type of games, like Spot It and this and Ghost Blitz, is that most of them only have one winner. You're like, oh, I hit Ghost Blitz, I won. With this one, the fastest can get it, and then somebody else also may find a match, so it doesn't necessarily lock everybody out of the game, which is kind of cool. The other neat thing is, at the end of the game, you count the donuts in the corner for points. So sometimes if you're the fastest, you're going to get a 1 donut card, but somebody that was paying more attention might be able to find one of the multi-donut cards, like that one there, and do better than you. So it is about being fast, but there also is just a sousson, just a sprinkling of strategy in there, if you want to call it that. There are at least times when you shouldn't necessarily do the very first thing, which is not normal for one of these sort of like speed matching games. Super cool, and I think is what makes Monster Match just a little bit different than what you've seen before. Plus the totally awesome monster packaging, which is just going to make you happy from the get-go once you see it.
Right, exactly. And Flip loves them because they are definitely some of the best Schniffenspiel products that he has, like when he does his little segments
definitely.
There.
You can really open one of these up and just take a good, deep whiff and just really get a feeling for exactly how fantastic these games are. Oh, there is no doubt about that. And then I have one really cool thing to tell you about if you're willing to accept an announcement for something in the future. The future.
I think we can handle
So we have coming out, I believe it will be released at, let's say, Gen Con. We have a game coming. If you want to see the art to it, go to our Instagram account and you will see the art. So you'll get some neat things there. The important thing to note is the creators of Happy Salmon, the actual guys that made Happy Salmon, are teamed up with the maker of Evolution, Dominic, and they've worked together on a game that I would say the best description I can give you that I feel is apt, that is easy to understand, is what King of Tokyo did for Yahtzee. This game is trying to do for poker. Okay. That is just a super cool game. More information will come out just after Origins, because that's when like press folks are going to start to see it. If you're not press folks, I'm going to give you a little tip. If you're going to Origins, look through the Origins catalog of events. If something is on there that makes no sense and has our name on it, you might. I'm just letting you know. You might want to check it out. I think it will be worth it to you if what you heard is the sound of something you like. If that idea of like a King of Tokyo-y weight game, but with sort of a poker mechanic, sounds like the kind of thing you'd like to check out, I would say look in the book. You will see one event with our name on it that it's just bonkers and says very little descriptive about why you would want to attend it. I would say check that out.
Might be something interesting. I might have to do that myself. I'm going to be out there this year, so...
Very good. We might be able to. You and I might be able to talk. We might be able to get you into something else so that you can leave a slot for somebody that doesn't have their own late night board game styled talk show.
Right. We'll see if I have any cred by then. We'll see.
Oh, I'm sure you do. They do not issue that many plywood meeples to you if you don't have cred. I'm looking behind you. They don't just give those to anybody.
A to be determined number. Absolutely. Well, that's pretty awesome. I'm not saying the number. It may be something someday. Who knows?
Oh, so, start counting, folks.
This has been awesome. So let's take a brief moment and let's check out some let's check out this little commercial here, and let's come back and let's play a game. How does that sound?
That sounds fantastic.
All right, so we'll be back right after this. This week's Media Creator Shoutout goes out to Flip Floor's Super Saturday Board Game Serial, which features a variety of guests doing some crazy and wacky things in board game land. Be sure to check them out on your favorite podcast stream.
It's game time!
So it's game time with Bruce. So we are playing Fun Employed. Now, if you have not played this, and I don't think you have, Bruce, this is a pitch show that's a little different. So give you a quick 15-second review here. Basically, what we're doing is we have cards that a third party has taken pictures of and sent to us that we're going to use. And we are applying for a job, and we have a total of 5 traits each that we have to use during our job application process, much like you did for Northstar Games. But unfortunately, you're only applying for 3 jobs. You're only applying for 3 jobs here. And I'm going to put Gary in the role of being the judge. He is going to basically tell us the job we are applying for. We are going to sift through our clues here, and then we will apply and see who comes out on top. And I have a feeling you need to play to your audience, and Gary has a rubbish sense of humor. And it's I don't want to say it's dirty, but it's not great either. So
I also think you have a job I want.
Yeah.
So
how about this? You guys are applying for a rabbi. How about that?
A rabbi. Oh, God.
I am ready to apply for this job, sir.
Okay, now while this slowpoke over here is still trying to figure out what he's doing, all right, Bruce, we'll go ahead and start with you then. So, Bruce, you're applying to this rabbi position. So what do you have to offer?
Well, first, Gary, let me look down there, Gary. I present myself as absolutely the most fantastic illiterate rabbi that you have ever met, because I don't need to read the good word. I live the good word because I am one of the chosen people. I spent most of my life sheltered, which is how I have ended up illiterate. But thank goodness Yahweh has moved me and taught me that I need to work as hard as I possibly can because of my amazing work ethic to lead a shul to the promised land. I do believe deep in my heart, because I can't read it, it's why I have to believe it, that not only are we the one true and amazing faith, but that I must shepherd the lost to their soul's future. Thank you.
No, okay, all right.
It's my first round. I'm trying to work it out. I'm working out the kinks.
No, I'll give you that. I'll give you I mean, it's gonna be really hard to work. Like, how do you expect to get in front of so many people and read from the words and stuff like that if you can't read the Torah, Gary? That's what I read from. The Torah. I don't know how to read it, but I know what it's called, Gary. I've been at this job for so long. That more or less should
give me the job. At the point you are offering the job, and I'm telling you it's the Torah, I really feel like I'm in a fantastic position to help you and your congregation.
You know what, Bruce? It was a trick question. I was testing you, and you passed. So
yes!
You nailed it. Okay, but on to the next person, Chris. Let's what do you hear? Why do you want to apply to this rabbi position, Chris? Huh? What do you got?
Well, while I might be new to the faith, I don't feel that should be a detriment to my ability. I've been making charoses from apples for quite a long time. You know, even though I have my private jet, I still think it's important for me to be able to meet my congregation on a daily basis. So that's an important part of my curriculum. Now, gravy is important because you can't have a good Pesach meal without gravy for the turkey. I think that's quite important, and I think that is a job that I'm well equipped to do. I know how to make a roux. I know how to make the gravy, and you know it can be blessed. And I think that's important. Even though the Holy Spirit moved me once at a time, it currently does not. So I kind of ignore half of the Bible, and I believe that the Old Testament now is the only Bible that matters to me, and I truly lust after Yahweh, and I think that it's important to embrace this part of my life because it's only half the religion I had when I was a child, and I think that's what I need to do. So.
All right, this is a toughie. It's either I either got to ride on the gravy train or the illiterate bus.
Ask him about anything that's not food related. Ask him about anything that's not food related.
It's the gravy private jet, I might add.
All right. I think for this first round, I got to give it to the gravy train. I think Bruce nailed that trick question. Yes, but I think
the gravy plane.
Yeah, I think how specific that was. Because that was stupid specific. Got me on that one. All right, so the next job.
I do apologize to everybody, but my wife is Jewish, so I kind of had a leg up on that one, I think.
Yeah, so's mine.
I pay attention at Passover. I have to answer the questions.
There's the difference.
Why do I host in the reclined position?
Oh. See, whereas my wife is Jewish, so like she'll eat bacon cheeseburgers.
Okay. Oh, well, so will mine, but sorry to everybody in the family. All right.
All right, hush it, guys.
What's our next job,
You guys
Gary?
are applying to a job now. Okay. Next job is going to be an auctioneer. Okay? Auctioneer.
Okay.
Oh, I want to use cracker so badly.
I'm ready to apply to this job.
Oh, because you're gonna beat me to the obvious joke, and it upsets me.
No, I think you guys have different things, right? You guys have different things, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys have different
Our
stuff.
cards are completely different.
Oh,
they should be.
Okay.
You don't have you don't have the same things I have. You shouldn't.
Hey,
right.
Chris, wait a minute over there. Chris, what do you what you got for this position, huh?
So I might not be a fast talker, but I think that me being a dungeon master makes me the perfect person to be your auctioneer. I have worked as being a dungeon master for quite some time, and I think it's important, especially when I'm taking my team up against the dragon, that I'm able to tell them about the goods and the gold, and I think that they need to understand, what's going on, because they're not just trapped in a closet. They're actually out there fighting all these things. I mean, it might be a different kind of closet, but that's another show altogether. But anyway, the important thing is that the dragon has wings. So I need to bring that out when I'm talking about this auctioneer. I need to paint a picture, and that's what dungeon masters do. They don't just sit up there and go, to 20, to 20, to 20, 25, 20, 25. No, I need to sell this with passion. I need to paint the picture, the wings, and the terrible things that come from this auction that I put out, and like how many gold they're going to spend. That's why you need to choose me, Dungeon Master, as an auctioneer. I think that's important.
So, Chris, is this your first job, and are you still at your mom's place? Is that
Just because I'm recording in a basement does not mean I live there.
Hey, we're all in basements at some point of the day, right? I mean,
right.
Right?
Just right. because I Skype from my basement, I think that's stereotyping, and I don't know that you're allowed to ask that during an interview. I think that might be illegal.
Hey, Bruce, are you ready to go?
I think I am.
All right,
just noting, for this version of the game, will I need to point out if I'm doing something, perhaps a physical bit? Is that a thing I'm going to have to point out to you?
Yeah, that works.
No, just
I'm looking at you.
If there's anything that I miss by the end, I will make sure that I have pointed it out, okay? Here we go. Oh. Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
Go for it.
Boy, I'm telling you, I'm one of the finest auctioneers you are ever going to find yourself, all the way from Tallahassee, Florida, to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm one of the greatest you're ever going to see. You may notice by the left side of my body being partially disrupted and my peg leg that I have in fact had a stroke. Yes, you are correct, but I will tell you, it does not stop my ability to sell all of your fine goods and items, from tobacco and cotton to cars and possibly horses and freight trains, because I, sir, cannot lie to you. I can only tell you what things are worth in a true, honest to goodness appraisal. I will tell you, there is in no way I'm never able to be sneaky whatsoever. And I think people can find that about me. I have found that the left side of my body being slightly stroke-ridden has been a problem for people. But if you can get past that, you will find that my honesty, my clear character, and my truth of heart often find their way through. I have, though, found that occasionally when I walk into a room with a step thunk, people do occasionally find that off-putting, but I have found that often I can win it over as long as people like your fine self will give me a chance, sir. So I certainly appreciate it.
You know what? I've been looking for someone that can sell freight trains. That's well,
that is a thing I have in fact done one time in a Carolina. I do not remember if it was North or South Carolina. I did 3 full days selling freight trains and freight train accessories, sir.
Oh, Bobby's my boy.
If you did not notice, I have been doing this with a southern accent.
I think Bruce got that job.
I sure as hell hope so.
All right. That was probably one of the funnier fun employed things I've heard. Being stroke ridden. that was what.
I thought he was a southern preacher there. I thought for sure.
Once I saw
a
southern
revival
accent,
coming through.
Stroke, and peg leg, I was like, oh, I can tie anything easy.
All right. It's One Eye Willie Bob.
All right. So,
oh dear Lord,
the next job you guys are applying for is, you know what? I'm gonna be lame. It's there, and you know what? Why not? Because this is not even planned. That's the worst part about this. It's not even planned. It's gonna go as superhero.
None of this is planned. I don't plan any of this stuff. We don't phone it in like other shows. I'm not disparaging any of the other shows. No, this is.
Oh, you totally did.
Legit.
Oh, you, Chris, you totally did.
Yeah, sorry. Gary, edit that out.
No, it's all in good fun.
He's not going to edit that out.
Nope.
Oh.
I always make a point to, like, whenever he says edit that, I'm like, I'm gonna make sure I make a timestamp of that and everything, and I'm gonna look at that part and I'm gonna be like, nope.
I thought we were friends. That's why you live in the concrete bunker in my backyard. That's why.
No, the funny thing is actually, I think every single time you said that leading up to this point, I think the you know how the hard drive's been messed up? I think it's actually
it's not been those points.
Yeah, because I haven't seen them. That's the thing. So it's like, but with it being
lucky
fixed
me.
Now, yeah, but with it being fixed now, I'm gonna see them all. So.
Oh, great! Can't wait.
I am ready to apply
right.
whenever you're ready to hear what I have to say.
Oh my god, I don't even know what job we're applying for.
Superhero.
I thought superhero.
I didn't even hear that.
Oh, what?
I'm so well. Then you should take a minute and work your way through.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. This is what's great about this
while
game
you're doing
too.
your pitch.
Yeah, that's what's great about the game too. Is that who gets it first goes while everyone else is still figuring out their stuff.
Yeah,
so,
go.
All right, Bruce. Mighty Thor here. Is that even how the accent works? Whatever. Mighty Thor here.
Dear Lord.
Well, anyways, would you like to join us in Olympus? And who are you, sir?
My name is Tim. I am part wasp, as you can tell by the small wings. The benefit of being a wasp is that I have long nails. It's one very long, very powerful nail. I also have a willingness to wear fishnet stockings, which I have seen the tapes, the historical documents of your people, superheroes, and I've seen that fishnet stockings is a thing that you wear very often. I have one unfortunate problem. It may be that I work too hard. No, I have really bad aim, like viciously bad aim, like criminally bad aim, like such bad aim that possibly if I am not accepted into your superhero guild, I may just all of a sudden go evil, which would be a shame because I am part wasp with incredibly long nails.
So,
yes.
how should I both want you here and also
at all times. Let's not worry, Sir Gary, if I may, Thor. Let's not talk about fear. Let's talk about working together. I don't make honey because I am a Hymenoptera and not a bumblebee. But I'm fun to watch. I have fishnet stockings. I'm small and can get into tight places. I think there are really a lot of things I can provide for your organization.
Do you like desk work?
I wouldn't say no one likes desk work exactly, but I'm willing to do desk work. Of course, assuming that in your organization, Thor, that there is some sort of upward mobility. I am willing to work hard at a desk, hoping one day that my small size, my poor aim, and my incredibly long nail will lead me to a fantastic future helping humanity.
We'll keep you on call. What was your name?
Yeah, I certainly appreciate it. Would you like a business card?
Fine.
Don't worry, I will call you, sir. I will call you.
Sorry, Wasp Man. There's another someone knocking on the door. Hey, who are you? Are you applying for the position?
Yes. My name is Critical Mass. I am a superhero from way back, and fishnet stockings are so 1980s. I'm a superhero that wears yoga pants, and I think that that's very important. And Squirrel, like a lot of the other people around here in my age, I am the millennial superhero because I have Squirrel, a short attention span, but not to be worried about because I can still stay focused on the job, and I have zero sense of humor, which is why this man is not funny at all. Even doing that crazy stuff on that screen right now. But I think it's important that Critical Mass, when you get me, you also get something else. And I think that that's important because it's welcome to the dark meat.
Huh. So, I either have to get this guy, whatever that is, or this guy. This is like the downfall of what is even the Avengers?
I'm Critical Mass. I'm not this guy. I'm Critical Mass. Come on, doesn't that just have gravitas? Critical Mass. I'll get closer. Or Critical Mass.
I feel like you're probably overrun with mass-laden superheroes. I feel like what you probably don't have is someone that can get easily into a crevice.
This Ant-Man. What are you talking about? You have Ant-Man.
You got to try my yoga pants, man.
Like Ant-Man, but also pants. With wings.
Guys, I think
I could put on some UGG boots, and it would complete my outfit. Squirrel.
No one asked you to be basic.
I think
I didn't say North Face.
I really think that out of all of our applicants today, I don't think we really need another Avenger. What we really need is a secretary or something along the lines of that. Critical Mass, you're really interesting, but I don't think you're up for the position because you just seem to get way too distracted way too easily. Wasp Man, I think you are just that desperate of a guy that we need to join.
Thank you.
Our position over at the Avengers headquarters and never leave the headquarters for any serious position.
I'm going to be an Avenger.
Just don't leave.
That's
the
fine.
office.
I'm gonna put the pants in yoga pants and leave.
Go get yourself a latte and leave.
Yeah, no problem. No problem, Wasp Man.
Whatever. I didn't want to play that anyway. If anybody actually cares to find you on the internet, where would that be?
Okay, let's do all of it. I run all of the social media accounts for Northstar. So wherever you can find us, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and we probably have a Pinterest by now. Go into your paper phone book and just look for Northstar and whisper. I can probably hear you when you do that. If you want to find the Party Gamecast, you can find us at partygamecast.com. You can find us at Party Gamecast. You can find us on Facebook as the Party Gamecast. We'd love to talk to you on Twitter, wherever you can find us. We're there. We don't have an Instagram. We don't take that. When we take pictures, we put them on Twitter. If you want to find me on Board Games, go to wherever your fine podcasts are sold and say, "Oh, On Board Games is still a show," and then download an episode of that, and I'll probably be there. If you want to know a lot about like cats and professional wrestling, you can find me on Twitter at BruceCoThinks. And I might be bringing it back. I did a little show for a while that was the Just Barely Sports podcast of the Minor League Geek. If you want to hear about insane minor league baseball logos, at Minor League Geek is where you can do that. So I think that covers it. You can find me on Board Game Geek as Brusco. Hey, reach out. I'm there. It's a thing. I think that does it all. That feels like all of them. We talked about the show. We talked about the other show. We talked about the Northstar. We talked about the Bruce as a human being. Yeah, I think that covers it all. Thanks for listening.
Wow, I ask for an address, I get a CV. Well, that's what you get with Bruce Voge. And thank you very much, Bruce, for showing up tonight, beating me at my own game. And I appreciate you being on the show. And until next time, we'll see you when you game all night.
All night long.
Like that.
It's the Top 5 Countdown.
So this week's burning question was, what is the next Olympic sport featuring board games? So I ask everybody on Facebook to use the hashtag GANTop5 to submit their answers, and this is what we have. Coming in at number 5, Ice Dancing Charades. I think it has potential. Number 4, Chess Boxing by J. Cole00. Number 3 is Brain Freeze, a popsicle eating contest, and that's submitted by Crystal Paisano. Number 2 is Sorting Game Bits, and that comes from my lovely wife, and she'd probably win, which is why she put it on here. And of course, coming in at number 1 is a LARP Biathlon, where we dress up as wizards and shoot fireballs instead of guns. That just sounds better all the way around. Thank you, J Mummy on Facebook. That is excellent. And I think that is going to do it for the show this week. I want to thank Bruce Voge again for coming on. That was hysterical. I've finally recovered, and I think that is got to be the first time I've ever actually lost it on film. So enjoy that. Thanks for watching this week, and we'll see you next week for our next guest. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our efforts at comedy and fun, please support us on PodPledge. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, don't forget to engage with us on Board Game Geek Guild 3134. You can also check us out on our website, GameAllNightShow.com. This show has been made possible through supporters like these. Angry Octopus.
There you go.
All night long.
All night.
All night.
All night.
All night long.
All night.